What's up YouTube, Playmata here, and welcome to my first Game Reviews for Twos video. In today's video I'm going to be talking about a game by Fantasy Flight Games by an author called Bruno Fioduti, and the game is called Citadels. So in my Game Reviews for Twos section I'll be focusing on three main areas. Number one is difficulty to pick up the game itself and understand the rules and how to play. Number two is the variation, so does it feel like it's a different game you're playing every time that you play it? Is there something new and exciting to happen each time you play? And number three, whether it's a luck or skill-based game. I'll then be using those three things to decide on what I personally think the game is out of 5, based on how good I think the game is for two players to play. So the first game I'm going to review, as I said, is Citadels, and I just want to give you some insight into the game itself. In Citadels, you are a medieval ruler trying to complete your city before your opponents can build theirs. Expand your city by adding new districts. Be sure to invest wisely. Some districts are more valuable than others, but cost more gold to build. There is more to ruling a city than gold, however. Lords, ladies, and other nobility all have a role to play. The game changes each turn, as each player secretly chooses a new role: the assassin, thief, magician, king, bishop, merchant, architect, or warlord, and the power that comes with it. Now here it does say Citadels is playable in 20 to 60 minutes, and that is true. You can play it in as short as that, however, I would allow more time than that if it's the first time you're going to play the game. So if you pick up a game of Citadels without any expansions, this is what you get. This version I have does have one expansion in it, but for the purposes of this video, I'm just going to review the base game, but it is good to know that there are expansions. So if you and your other player or other players enjoy the game, then of course you have the option to get some expansions and increase the variety, which for me is very important because I don't want it to feel like the same game every time I play. So we'll start over this side. This is the district deck. You have 5 different types of district, so you can have yellow districts, which are noble districts. You have green, which are trade. You have blue, which are religious. You have red, which are military, and you have purple, which are special. Over here we have the gold. I actually really like this gold. It's sort of a counter, sort of acrylic, almost like a button without any holes in it. It's quite shiny as well. And what's really nice about it is that you often get cardboard gold in games, and they're just quite nice and tactile. Here we have the crown, which is kind of relevant, but it's a bit of a marker to let you know who is the dealer pretty much for the round, and the dealer changes based on whether or not you happen to get the king as your character card for that turn. So I won't be going over exactly how to play, but I will talk through a couple of things. What I like about this game is that the characters determine the turn order, so you don't necessarily go and take it in turns in a circle, going clockwise. So it can be anybody, but depending on which card you end up with at the beginning of each round, who goes first or last. So the numbers up here determine what your turn order is. So if you're the assassin, you go first. If you're the thief, you go second. If you are the magician, you go third. King 4th, bishop 5th, merchant 6th, architect 7th, and warlord 8th. And they all have their own special powers that can affect each other, other players. And what's really great about this game is that you don't necessarily know what the other players have until it is their turn. So if you're the assassin, you have to declare a character to try and kill, but you don't know who has that character or if indeed anybody has that character. So you may have noticed that there is some gold on each of the district cards. That tells you how much it costs to build those cards, and then the idea is that once you have got 8 districts in your city, everyone else finishes their turn if that's in the middle of a round, and then you all count up your points based on the cost of each thing in your city added up together. So just before I give my final review, I just want to say I really like the artwork. It's also really nicely detailed. I like the quality of the material that the card has been printed onto. I like the quality of the materials, like the gold and the crown as well. And the box actually has it so that you can fit things in it properly, and if you buy any expansions then you can fit them in there, which is really important because for me I don't really like it when you just have like an empty box with millions of pieces sliding about. So they've really thought well about the quality of their product here, which is really great. So to talk about the difficulty of Citadels first, I would say that it's quite easy to pick up, easy to grasp and pick up how to play the game. But what I really like in a game is that actually to be really good and end up winning it and consistently winning it and being good at this game, then it's actually more difficult. You've got quite a lot of strategy involved there. I love the fact that when you're playing this two-player, you get to play 2 characters per turn. So you might have the assassin and the bishop. So you know that the other player is not going to have the 1 or 5, the assassin or the bishop. You might have seen a couple as well when you were selecting your cards. So you have a pretty good chance of both using your bishop's ability and using your assassin to actually target your opponent and stop them from doing something that they want to do. So I do like the variation. You'll have different combinations of 2 characters every single round, which is really, really cool. The expansion itself does bring in 9 new characters with 9 completely different abilities. And in general, I would say you will never ever see the same city twice because there's such a variety of district cards in the game. When it comes to the balance between luck and skill, I would say it tilts towards the skill. If you're wanting to win, there's not an awful lot of luck. You don't roll dice or anything like that. The only luck really is the fact that you're drawing face down cards from the district pile, and that you don't always know which cards you're going to have, which character cards you'll have, because some of them at the beginning of each round are put face down, so you can't actually play those cards for the turn. So calling people's bluffs and being able to predict what people have done and see and have a look around and be like, okay, that person needs some extra cards, so they've probably got the architect. Making those sorts of inferences and then being like, right, I'm choosing an assassin, I'm going to use a 7, I'm going to call 7 and kill the architect, and then that opponent doesn't get a turn that turn. You know, that's where the sort of the skill sort of comes into it, and choosing what to build and when to build. That said, I wouldn't say this is the most skillful game in the world. I'd probably place this on about a 3 out of 5 for skill, and it's a nice game that anybody could play. You could play this with somebody who's played it a few times against people who have never played it before, and the new players could still win. If you were having a board games night, I would recommend it as your sort of first game, your warm-up game, if you know how to play it. And in general, I personally am really looking forward to playing this game again and playing with different numbers of players, because every time you have a different number of players, the game and the structure of the rounds completely changes, which again is really exciting. In terms of how good this game is for 2 players, I would say that what's so great, and one of the things that I wish more games would incorporate, is how to play these big games that are designed for 5, 6, 7 players to play for 2 players in a way that it feels like you're getting the full experience. Now, often I sort of look at games and think, well, if we both played 2 characters, then it'd be like a 4-player game. And what this game actually incorporates into its own structure and its own rulebook is how to do that for 2 players, where you do get to play as 2 characters per turn. And that's what really made me love this game. This is perfect for 2 players who like to have the full game experience without sort of feeling like you've got a dumbed down or simpler version just because only 2 people are playing. So based on everything that I've said so far, I would say this game is worth a very solid 4 out of 5 on how good this game is for 2 players to play. So thank you so much for watching this week's video. I really hope you enjoyed it. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and I can't wait to bring you my next video. Till next time, Play Matter, signing out.